Hello everyone. Today we're starting our series of looking at the NSX owner's manual, specifically the maintenance section. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reading, and where we could show you examples or demonstrate things, we're going to be doing it. So we're pretty much going to go through the whole maintenance section of the owner's manual, but we're going to be making videos of showing you step by step how they show it to you in the owner's manual, what they're talking about. So it's going to kind of be a video version of the owner's manual. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I've got the 1991 Acura NSX owner's manual, but a lot of this is going to pertain to the NA1. If these videos are a success, I might do other NA2s and blah, blah, blah. But we're going to start off with the 1991 NA1. So it starts off at page 119, maintenance, and it says, regularly maintaining your NSX is the best way to protect your investment. You will be rewarded with safer, more economical, trouble-free driving. This section tells you how to check many items on your car and how to perform simple do-it-yourself maintenance. Or do-it-yourself maintenance. It also includes maintenance schedules for normal and severe driving conditions. If you're interested in how to perform more complex maintenance on your NSX, you could purchase the NSX service manual. See page 221 for information, how to obtain a copy, or see your Acura dealership. All right, guys, that was the first page. Pretty much a simple introduction, what they're going to go over, which is really cool, but I'm excited. All right, let's go to the next page. Page 120, maintenance schedule. The required maintenance schedule specifies how often you should have your car serviced and what things need attention. It is essential that your car be serviced as scheduled to retain its high level of safety, dependability, and mission control performance. The services and periods shown in the maintenance schedule are based on the assumption you will use your car as it was designed, which is to carry a driver, passenger, and cargo while not exceeding the load limits shown on the label on the driver's door jamb, to be operated on reasonable roads within legal speed limit, to be driven regularly over a distance of several miles, to be run on premium unleaded gasoline with pump octane number of 91, research octane number of 96 or higher. Your Acura dealer knows your car best. You can provide competent, efficient service. However, service at your dealer is not mandatory to keep your warranty in effect. Maintenance may be done by any qualified service facility or person who is skilled in this type of automotive service. Keep all receipts as proof of completion. Have the person who does the work fill out the maintenance records on page 123. Check your warranty booklet for more information. Maintenance, replacement, or repair of emission control devices and systems may be done by any automotive repair establishment or individual using parts that are certified to EPA standards. Vehicles sold in California have slightly different maintenance requirements. These are noted in the required maintenance. Other maintenance operations are required by California regulations and conditions of emissions warranty. All right, first off, let's talk about why they said the word emissions a lot. In the 1990s, emissions was kicking off with the US, and Japan was kind of having a little bit of trouble wondering if they should put cars in our market. And the reason why is that the two different types of markets, Japan and the rest of the world, and the US, that's technically three markets, they all had different requirements, but US was the strictest one. In order for Japan to import their cars to America and sell them, they had to meet those requirements. A great example, the RX-7 has a bunch of emission stuff, and believe it or not, it took a lot of money to research and develop those emission things. And whenever you're selling a car overseas, in order for you to meet those requirements, you have to look at your bottom line and see, if I put X amount of research and X amount of equipment on the car, we'll even come out breaking even. And that was a big problem with cars that were imported to America at that time, was trying to make cars emission friendly and trying to also make that bottom number work for the company. So that's why you see emissions talk a lot in this particular section here. Now we're going to go into more about the required maintenance schedule, because there's going to be things you guys have never heard of, and it's super cool. And I learned this a couple years ago, which is really neat. All right, so we just want to make sure, a couple things they said here that's funny. Operate reasonable roads within the legal speed limit. LOL, right? Okay, another thing, to be run on 91, research octane number of 96 or higher. I'm not sure what they mean by research octane. Maybe they say make sure that you look into it. And then be driven regularly over a distance of several miles. I want to stop and talk about that. So I just sold my GT4, and I literally did an oil change and didn't have no more than maybe 700 miles on it or something like that. And when the new when the new owner did an oil change, the oil was black, and I was like, that makes no sense. The car sat, you know, I didn't drive it a lot. It was a fresh oil change, and he told me that if you drive your car for, let's say, less than, I think he said 5 miles or so, and that number, you know, it's plus or minus whatever, right? But if you drive it a short distance, it's bad for the car. And the reason why is that as a car sits, moisture and condensation and other things just accumulate, and over time, and fuel and all that, and over time your car doesn't warm up to the correct operating temperature to burn that off. The reason why they said you want to drive it several miles is because you want to bring up everything up to an operating temperature where you actually kind of burn off things from the oil. It's crazy, I know, right? All right, we're moving on to the next one. All right, the maintenance schedules. Now we're going to actually start reading from the bottom up. And if you see here, it says severe driving conditions. Item with an R or I in the chart will need to be serviced more often if you drive in some severe conditions. Now, this is really important for you guys to understand. The conditions are repeated short distance driving. We just talked about that. Woohoo! All right. B, dusty conditions. C, severe cold weather. D, areas with road salt or other corrosive materials. And E, rough and muddy roads. Now, we've got to take a moment to talk about this real quick. We talked about short distances, which isn't a good thing, remember? Dusty conditions. Well, if you guys live in an area where there's a lot of wind and, you know, like around Texas or wherever, I'm sure a lot of places have wind, but dusty areas, you know, that's just common sense. Severe cold weather. A lot of us don't take our NSX out in the cold weather, but it is important to know that if you are, you know, using it in cold weather, that is considered a severe condition. And typically the reason why is because a lot of the fluids have a hard time maintaining the viscosity in those temperatures. So it's kind of like, you know, you need to make sure that those oils and all the oils within the car, fluids are being changed out more. Areas with road salt and other corrosive materials. Again, goes back to more winter. Rough and muddy roads. I mean, if you're going mudding and rough roads in your NSX, more power to you, I guess, but I'm definitely not. But just get an idea what that is. All right. So the next thing it says, the services are clean the air cleaner element every 75,000 miles or 6 months and replace every 30,000 miles or 24 months under condition B and E. Replace engine oil and oil filter every 3,750 miles or 3 months under condition A and B. Inspect front and rear brake disc and calipers and rear brake pads every 7,500 miles or 6 months under condition A, B, D, or E. Inspect the power steering every 7,500 miles or 6 months under condition B, C, and E. Now we're going to read in the top. It says R, replace, C is clean, I is inspect, and after inspection, clean, adjust, repair, replace if necessary. So services at the interval listed at 1,000 miles or after a number of months, whichever one comes first. That is a statement that we need to talk about, especially for you NSX guys who bought a low mileage car or who are thinking about buying one. It's not about the miles, it's about the time limit. And let me tell you, that is a fact. Rubber and stuff deteriorates over time, and you really need to take the time intervals versus the miles intervals just as important. All right, so if you look here, front brake pads has a bunch of eyes, and the reason why is because it depends how you drive, right? If you're riding the brakes, you're probably gonna have to replace sooner or later, but the inspection is pretty much at every 7,500 miles from what I could see here. All right, rear brakes is actually every other, looks like 7,500 miles, so that kind of makes sense because your rear brakes are not the primary force of braking, hence the caliper size. Brake hoses, you also have an inspection under every other 7,500 miles. Makes sense. If you're going to be looking at your brakes, look at your brake hoses. Typically, brake hoses are good, but believe it or not, on my Toyota Supra, I had a brake hose just bust, and that was about the same year as the NSX. Parking brake, inspect, 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 also every other 7,500 miles. Brake fluid, all right, we have an R, which is replaced at every 30,000 miles. Well, it's just, you know, this was written in 1991, and DOT 3 was really what people used, and then DOT 4 started to come in, and then that's when you had things that were compatible with DOT 3 and DOT 4. But long story short, now we have all these synthetic fluids, DOT 5.1, we have all this crazy stuff. And the thing about it is, and I can't say this with 100% certainty, but a lot of fluids are just better made, and it's because of labs and because of chemistry and because of chemical engineers. So long story short, you know, you can follow that, but in my opinion, I think it's one of those things you just inspect it, and it depends how you drive. But definitely brake fluids are developed a little bit better, so you're just gonna have to, inspect that. But I think you could probably go a little longer than 30,000 miles, right? It just depends on how it looks. ABS system is going to be inspect every 30,000 miles. I don't really know how you would do that. I guess diagnostics, or just make sure that everything's working, not leaking, I guess. And then you have anti-lock brake system high pressure hose, and it says replace every 60,000 miles. Now, I don't know about you, but I have not replaced my anti-lock brake system high pressure hose. That's probably something to look at, and it's only every 60,000 miles, so interesting. Okay, so then we have steering and front suspension, inspect front wheel alignment every 15,000 miles, steering operation tie rods and gearbox every 15,000 miles, power steering system is inspect every 15,000 miles, suspension mounting bolts inspect every 15,000 miles. We're moving down, air cleaner element. We're gonna be replacing every 30,000 miles, but it also has a box for the severe, which means that you most likely wanna do that a lot quicker if you're under severe conditions, but that's every 30,000 miles. So all these following items are gonna be inspection under 60,000 miles, and it's gonna be the EGR system, the EVAP system, ignition timing, positive crankcase ventilation valve. Then we have valve clearance, and we're inspecting that every 15,000 miles. And then we have fuel line connections. Let's see if I'm reading that correct. Fuel filter and hoses replace every 60,000 miles. All right. Fuel line connections inspect every 30,000 miles. And then spark plugs replace every 60,000 miles. And then engine oil filter replace every 7.5 thousand miles, unless it's severe condition, because we have a box, which is going to be less. We have alternator drive belt inspect, cooling system inspect every 30,000 miles. The alternator was inspected every 30,000 miles. Radiator coolant we have replaced every 45,000 miles. And then we have transmission fluid every 30,000 miles. Timing belt is every 90,000 miles. Water pump is inspect every 90,000 miles. Catalytic converter heat shield inspect every 60,000 miles. And exhaust pipe and muffler inspect every 15,000 miles. Woo! All right, guys, we have a little phrase in the bottom here, and it says, check oil and coolant level at each fuel stop. That's kind of like an RX-7. Let me read that again. Check oil and coolant level at every fuel stop. I wonder if they're just being safe. Under severe driving conditions, service these items more often. If you look back at the service manual, there's little asterisks for things. And if you look at like radiator coolant, it has an asterisk at 75,000 miles. It says R*3. So it says thereafter replace every 2 years or 30,000 miles, whichever comes first. So the interval is decreased for the coolant is right here. Number 1 is fuel line connections. For cars sold in California, this service is recommended only. Other areas it is required. And then we have number 2, tension adjustment only. So let's find number 2. If I could find number 2. Number 2 is for alternator drive belt, so check the adjustment. And then number 4 is replace every 6 years, 60,000 miles. And number 4 is spark plugs. So replace every 6 years, 60,000 miles, whichever one comes first. After that, we actually have maintenance record, which on your owner's manual, some people have them stamped if the owner was diligent. A lot of them are just blank, or they got started and people never follow through with them. And that's about it, guys. We're going to end this video like that at 124. And let me know what you think. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot myself too. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. You stay safe, take care, and make sure to watch for part 2.